Knew how much my team needed me. Like I said last game, I mean, it was very tough for me. I didn't sleep. And the competitor in me like wanted to win that game so bad, and I replayed that play so many times. But I'm like, why would I let one moment dictate um, everything else that I have going on that is positive? So just being able to show up again for my team, it would have been negative for me not to come out tonight and just bounce back. And I knew they expected it from me. So just being able to do it, obviously against Asia, trying to deflect as many passes as I can. I mean, she's going to get her shots up, of course. But just knowing my spots and how great I am defensively.
Angel Reese wanted sympathy after the shot that could have won the game. Instead, Caitlin Clark's reaction turned the whole thing into something much bigger. 1 second, Reese was standing at the rim with a chance to become the hero. The next, Clark was caught smiling as the opportunity disappeared for good. The internet immediately went to work, dragging their old rivalry right back into the spotlight. But Reese's reaction afterward is where this story actually gets interesting.
Hey, man, Angel Reese back in action as the Atlanta Dream did beat the Las Vegas Aces. Thank you. You just helped Caitlin Clark move up in the standings. Angel Reese has 6 more layups blocked. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. You look, congratulations. You had another double McDouble. You actually had 20 points this time. I don't know how they let you do that. But Angel Reese had 6 more.
Because she says that missed shot stayed with her all night. There's a particular kind of irony sports has a way of cooking up when you least expect it. And this one arrived with almost perfect comedic timing. Years ago, on a college court in Louisiana, a young Angel Reese made a habit of trailing Caitlin Clark around the floor, flashing a grin, waving her hand in front of her own face like the moment belonged to her and her alone. It was playful. It was provocative. And it became one of the defining images of a rivalry that would eventually follow both women into professional basketball. Fast forward to this past week, and the cameras caught something remarkably similar. Except this time, the smile belonged to someone else. And Reese was the one left explaining herself to reporters, telling anyone who'd listen that she barely slept after a missed layup cost her team a chance to win. Funny how
it is just comedy at this point. Even in games that aren't absolutely pathetic, we still are able to get a laugh out of them. After one of the most disastrous performances we have ever seen in the WNBA, one of the worst showings in WNBA history, missing wide open layups, missing layup game winners, Angel Reese returned to the court last night against the Las Vegas Aces. A game in which Becky Hammon went nuts.
The court has a memory of its own. To understand how this moment came together, you have to rewind to the weekend that came before that missed shot, because ESPN didn't stumble into this storyline by accident. Reese really does rebound at an elite level. Her motor really doesn't stop. The numbers on the boards are legitimate, and nobody's serious about the sport disputes that part of her resume. But a feature built entirely around one skill tends to raise a quiet question in the back of your mind. And that question is simple. What about everything else? Sunday supplied the answer. And it didn't arrive gently. Indiana traveled to Atlanta for a game that had already been marketed all weekend as a coronation for Reese, with the broadcast booth of Ryan Ruocco and
is on a different level. And I know we say that every single video because she's been on an insane stretch. She's been averaging 26-9 over the past 11 games. But yo, the way she's added on this mid-range shot to her game, it's like in the blink of an eye, she became a top 3 mid-range shooter in the whole league. Also, her dribble moves are so tight right now. She's flowing and going and dishing the ball to her teammates like no other. I mean, she just has looked exceptional. And Kelsey Mitchell struggled today, but she still had her 20 and a big shot towards the end of this game that zone.
Athletes know it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And that energy is contagious because if you look at Angel Reese, she already has 7 and 9. She's already getting close to a double-double. But then also, if you think about, on the other side here, you're seeing the Indiana Fever. They're just being a little bit methodical as well because I like these good to great plays. You see Caitlin orchestrating. It's like both sides are leaning into their strengths on this one.
Let's go back to Angel really quickly, though, because she was part of the catalyst that you saw to be able to change things around. And she said to Holly, I just feel like I needed to take a deep breath and maybe start.
But this weekend has to be one of the worst weekends ever for Angel Reese, bruh. I mean, she became a meme last game. She became a super duper meme this game. And all I got to tell you is Caitlin Clark truly gets the last laugh, man. Angel Reese missed the damn layup. Now, for all of the Angel Reese fans, I just want y'all to calm down because this is nothing new. She's been
Becca Lobo treating her like the centerpiece of the entire league. Then the ball actually went up in the air, and the coronation started writing its own punchline. In the first quarter, Reese found herself alone on a fast break, nothing but open floor and an undefended rim in front of her. The kind of layup professional players convert with their eyes closed. She missed it anyway, badly enough that it became an instant highlight for all the wrong reasons. The sort of clip that gets replayed not because it's impressive, but because it's almost unbelievable. If you told anyone watching that this would be the worst miss of her afternoon, they would have believed you completely. They would have been wrong. By halftime, the shooting line read 3 makes on 10 attempts, 7 points, paired with 9 rebounds.
Missing because of the Indiana Fever's defense. Fam, she was blocked 3 times. She was blocked 3 times in the first half. What are you talking about? Hey, man, this is ridiculous work. Look, you can just see the double standard, right? If Caitlin Clark was 3 for 10 from the field, and mind you, shooting mid-ranges, right? Shooting mid-ranges, shooting threes, they would have had nothing good to say about Caitlin. They would have had nothing good to say about it, man. Like
Off the game with Angel Reese missing everything from behind the arc, and she does get into a groove as we go on into the game. And by groove, I mean she gets some rebounds. But yeah, we're gonna be real honest about her in this video. Here you see her waiting for the dribble handoff action so she can get it to Alicia, and she drills it. Once again, exceptional performance from her. And not too long after, you see Alicia get it on the other side of the court, drilling this 3 on that left wing. Like I say, she's gonna hoop today, but we come back the way of Indiana where Caitlin Clark gets all the way to the cup. Tough layup. You see that strength, bro? Pushing into that defender, not afraid of the contact.
A stat sheet that told 2 very different stories, depending on which number you chose to look at. When sideline reporter Holly Rowe asked Reese what adjustments needed to be made, Reese offered an answer that instantly became more famous than the interview itself, admitting in her own words that she felt like she was playing in a manner she bluntly described in far less flattering terms than that. It takes a certain amount of self-awareness to describe your own performance that honestly. And in a strange way, it was one of the more genuine moments of the entire broadcast. The problem was that almost nobody in the studio seemed willing to match that honesty. Instead, the halftime crew of Monica McNutt, Chiny Aguamike, and Andrea Carter kept circling back to Reese as the emotional and competitive engine of the game, praising her energy, her mentorship of a rookie teammate, her supposed catalytic effect on Atlanta's defense, all while the graphics sitting directly beneath them showed a shooting percentage telling a completely different story.
NBA drama. I'm about to play the video, but Caitlin Clark is facing criticism now because she laughed at Angel and her team because they kept missing their layups to tie up the game. I would laugh too. Look at that. Airballed the 3. Missed the layup. Missed it again. Missed it again. Come on, bro. Who not finna giggle at that? Any normal NBA player would clown the other team if they had 4 chances to win the game and didn't win. One thing about Angel Reese, though, she's finna get them rebounds because Kashi even got her predicted to.
It was less like basketball analysis and more like watching 3 people describe a car accident as a scenic detour. There's a version of this where you chalk it up to coincidence. 3 broadcasters simply riding an emotional wave without checking the box score too closely. But context makes that explanation hard to accept because this wasn't a spontaneous reaction. It was the continuation of a narrative that had been carefully built over the previous 48 hours. The network had already decided, before the opening tip, that this weekend belonged to Angel Reese. And once that decision had been made, the on-air talent seemed determined to protect the story, regardless of what actually unfolded on the hardwood. When a player tells you directly that she's struggling, and the response from the people paid to analyze the game is to call her a catalyst anyway, you start to wonder whose interests are actually being served. The most damning sequence, though, didn't come in the first half. It came at the end of regulation, with the score tied and the clock bleeding out, when Kelsey Mitchell missed a potential go-ahead 3-pointer and the ball caromed directly toward the rim, landing almost perfectly in Reese's hands. This wasn't a contested, off-balance attempt against a wall of defenders. This was a clean look, point-blank range, the kind of putback that decides games and builds legends. She missed that one too.
Angel Reese, haunted by last game. Haunted after blowing the game winner. And then follows that up, getting blocked 6 times, and the referees putting her on the foul line if somebody so as much looked. I didn't sleep. Last game, it was very tough for me. I didn't sleep. I replayed that play so many